As we move from left to right, the number that differs from the beginning will determine which is greater overall. This is the second step to comparing two positive decimal numbers. For our first example, we're going to change the whole value. We have 5 and 45 hundredths. We're going to compare it to 7 and 3,575 10,000ths. Well, immediately you notice in the whole value that the 7 here is greater than the 5, so you can say that the right value is greater. Let's move on to another value here where we have the same whole value, but what's different is the right side of the decimal. So here we have 15 and 31 hundredths, and we're going to compare it to 15 and 32 hundredths. As we move left to right on both values, we notice that the hundredths place value, is different. So is 1 greater than 2? No. 1 is less than 2. So we can say 15 and 31 hundredths is less than 15 and 32 hundredths. All right. Now let's give you another example here where we have 7 hundredths and 68 thousandths. Which is greater? Let's go left to right. Okay. We notice the first difference is in the hundredths place value. We have a 7 here. Now we have a 6 over here. Well, 7 is greater than 6, so we can ultimately state that 7 hundredths is greater than 68 thousandths. Now let's get into negative numbers here, right? So we have here negative 0 and 6/10, comparing it to negative 0 and 61 hundredths. Well, we're going to add a 0 just to have the same number of digits. We're going to add a 0 to 6/10 here. So to negative 6/10, we're going to add a 0. Perfect. Rewrite the original statement and begin our examination from left to right. So as we move left to right, we notice that in the hundredths place value, we see the first difference. On our first value, we have a 0. In our second value, we have a 1. So now we can determine here which is greater. Notice we have negatives, so we're dealing with negatives here. So that kind of flips the entire procedure. Best to draw a number line here and draw it out from negative 1. Let's place a 0 in the middle here, and let's place a 1 value over here. So we're dealing with the negatives here. We are going to plot our first value here, 6/10, negative 6/10, right on this line. Negative 6/10. And this negative 61 hundredths, we're going to plot it on the left side. Mm-hmm. Now we read the number line from less to greater as we move left to right. So we can ultimately state that negative 6/10 is greater than negative 61 hundredths.